Mosport Raceway is a circuit thick in motorsport history, from Formula One to Can-Am, and in recent years, the IMSA Sports Cars and SCCA Trans Am Championships. Last year, the Speed GT Series had a memorable moment as Corvette posted its first win since April of 2000.
Farmer rolls onto the throttle, and Corvette back in winner's circle after a 2-year absence.
This year's first round at Sebring saw the famous American muscle car score a dominant victory. Can the vets do it again amongst the all-German giants? Find out now on Speed.
Another round and another chance for Corvette to post a victory. It's been a long break since Sebring. The teams are well rested and tested and are set to go for round 2 of the SCCA Speed GT Championship here in Canada. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie along with Johnny O'Connell. Johnny, this track is perfect for these high horsepower cars.
It really is. Long straightaways, long sweeping corners. We'll see a great show today.
There's a new player in town as well. Let's find out more about him.
Anytime we get, the first thing, you get a new driver added to the team, and he's young, and we're older, you know, Boris, myself, and Hans. First you got to look, and you wonder, how quick is he going to be? Because my job, you know, you worry about it. He's a great addition to the team.
You know, anything he needs, you know, we'll give him, and then who knows, we might learn something from him.
It's a good threat to our team, because he sees our team from a different perspectives, you know. We are the old guys here, we are working in rails sometimes. So it's good to have an opinion from a new young guy with new ideas, and I think it's great with us.
Yeah, well, it's humbling, you know, of course. These guys have a lot of experience. They're all very good, and it's really good to be in a position like this, because I can kind of, you know, listen. I can be a fly on the wall in situations. You know, I go to these guys for advice, and these guys are the best in the business. So to be competing in that kind of environment, I think is a great opportunity for me, and it's going to be a great situation for me to get better throughout the year.
I came a couple of times in Sebring when he wasn't racing, unfortunately, and asked me this and that, and I told him, Justin, when you need a question, you can come to me 24 hours a day, no problem. I'm here to help you. I want to be sort of your godfather in the team. A bit of the same with Johannes van Overbeek, you know, it worked pretty well. He came yesterday and he asked Boris and myself about gears and how to get in gear. And I like his coming up and asking questions, you know.
I mean, you know, it's Hans Stuck, you know. I mean, the guy's won everything you can win in sports car racing, and just to be able to at some point in my career taste the amount of success that he's had, you know, would be great.
Well, he's a rookie, Justin, so, you know, we make him go get coffee and stuff and breakfast and make him do all kinds of tricks. But, you know, he's a good kid. He's been racing World Challenge for a couple of years, so he's got some experience.
There you go, Johnny. That's what you make the rookies do, isn't it?
You know that and a whole bunch of other things that you don't want to do, but a great opportunity for Justin because he's got 3 great teammates.
Johnny, talk us around this track. It is a marvelous venue.
It really is. Mosport, I guarantee you, is every one of these drivers one of their favorites in North America. It's very fast, long corners, very sweeping. Watch them going down Mario Andretti straightaway, though, because that's really where they're going to have to be quick to make their passes go into the S's.
Qualifying time was cut very short for everyone because of this nasty looking accident for John Groom. Qualifying was red flagged, and basically where everyone was at that point, where they stayed. And John Young will be staying in pit lane until the lights go out. He was late for the grid and will be forced to start from that unfortunate position. Let's take a look at the grid. For the first time this year in the GT category, Bill Auberlin, his PTG BMW, starts from pole alongside those rocketing Audis. Randy Popes outside the front row. Row 2, Boris said, that's a little bit better. The PTG boys have improved from their Sebring qualifying efforts. He starts alongside defending champion Michael Gallardi. Justin Marks, the new boy on the block. A big moment for him. Back to row 4, the Porsche of Mike Fitzgerald and Rob Fellows, brother to Ron, on home soil and loving it. Phil Mcclure, our first round winner, the big Corvette. What will it have for us today? And Hans Stuck alongside Mcclure. We get back to the 6th row. Row 7, Jim Rathman, watch for him. Showed some promise at Sebring. And Johnny, this should be an interesting one.
It really is. I mean, we've got to throw qualifying out the window because of the accident there, so we really don't know the speed everyone has. One guy that we got ripped off watching at Sebring was John Young. very, very fast, taking the lead. He had a mechanical problem. Watch for him coming from the back of the field today.
Time to hear from our pole sitter. Here's Brian Till.
Well, Bill Oberlin is certainly no stranger to starting on the front row. He's done it many times, but with almost 2 months since the last GT race at Sebring, it's been a long time. Bill, I know you guys have had a chance to work on the car, but very limited track time this weekend with the red flag in qualifying. You got a car that'll make it to 30 laps and stay up front?
Yeah, I think we do. I think you're going to see the Audi four-wheel drives take off in the beginning, and then you're going to see me, Boris, and all the other BMWs hunt them down one by one, and the object is that we're just going to punish them until their tires and their cars beat themselves up, and we'll go by. And this is kind of the game plan. We've tested a lot since coming out of Sebring. We got the car working much better. I mean, this team, PTG, Tom Milner, they know what's going on, so I feel pretty confident.
A lot of confidence on the part of the BMW team, but a lot of confidence on the part of the Audi team too. Should be a great start with all-wheel drive outside the front row, but it will not be a good start for John Young in the 44 car. He should be starting 6th. He did not make the grid. He will have to start last from pit lane. Put the belts on and hang on, guys. It should be a good one.
Motorcycle financing.
Speed Channel's coverage of the Speed GT Championship is brought to you by BMW. Visit your local BMW centre for a test drive. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Cars coming around and gridding up. We are almost set to go here at Mosport. But one special edition today, we've got some audio with Hans Stuck.
Yes, hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Hans Stuck out of corner 8 from PTG BMW. Unfortunately only on the 11th or the 10th spot today, but I hope we're going to cure this. I had bad luck in practice hitting an oil patch and then I couldn't do my lap. So, but now let's concentrate on the start, ladies and gentlemen. It's essential to do a good start here, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, talk to you later.
He is not only one of the best drivers around, he's one of the funniest guys you would ever want to meet, one of the nicest fellows as well. But the niceties go out the window right now as the revs rise here at Mosport. It's time for round 2 of the Speed GT Championship. Bill Oberlin for PTG BMW. You can see him to the right, far right and ahead. We're on board with Mike Gallardi. To the right of screen is his teammate. Oberlin moves. Oberlin moves early. Now the lights go out and here we go. Boris said charge Mike Gallardi there, but it's Randy Popes who gets the flyer.
You know, really with these Audis, we saw it at Sebring, there's nothing you can do for them on the start. They're gone. Really wanted, I think, try to get an advantage, keep that pole position. Didn't happen for him, and we see, I think it was Randy Popes took the lead there at the start.
Right now with Jim Rathman, and Popes has gone. Randy has run wide, and that's cost him just one position. John Young, who started from pit lane, has a lot of catch-up work to do. But what a frantic start. Michael Gallardi, the reigning champion, leads the way.
You know what? And Gallardi, he's rock solid, man. You know what? I'm surprised Randy, though, fell off there. Again, what his strategy probably was is to get out, push as hard as he could on that first lap. Slid off in turn 2. He's lucky he did not have a big one because that is not a place on this racetrack you want to fall off.
Riding now with Hans Stuck, Phil Mcclure up ahead in the Corvette. Round 1 winner. As this BMW winds up. Gallardi, Popes, Oberlin, Sed and Fitzgerald are hard at it, and Mcclure is waiting for a mistake and waiting to pounce.
Yeah, Fitzgerald, you know one of the unique things here about Mosport, you got to make that move around the outside, and Fitzgerald looks like he's pulled it off. Boris sticking his nose in there, but Fitzgerald has the position. Boris is going to have to back off, try another lap.
The dust flies as Boris puts his foot to the floor. The two Audis are tight together. Mcclure thinks about it and then thinks twice. We see the rest of the field come on through, but it is fast up front. There is a hot pace at the moment. Oberlin runs third. Mike Fitzgerald said Mcclure is all over Boris now.
Yeah, you know, Mcclure, again, remember, he started 9th, so he probably got a good shot out of the, hole shot there on the start. He did a nice job running in, looks like 6th right now. But again, still very early in this race. We see Popes putting a lot of pressure on Gallardi. You know, Gallardi, I'm sure feels ripped off. He had bad mechanical problems at Sebring. I'm hoping for him they got all their problems worked out because, again, he's a world-class driver in these cars, and again, as a champion, you want to see him up there fighting for wins, and right now he's in a great position.
Gallardi leads the way. Mike Fitzgerald has made a good, strong start. Justin Marks the 21-year-old from San Francisco, is right in the thick of it as well and thoroughly enjoying his drive for Team PTG. But look at Mike Fitzgerald, the power of that Porsche.
You know what? That's 2 BMWs in a row on 2 straightaways. So obviously that Porsche has some horsepower today. You know, really the BMWs, I don't know whether they're going to be able to do anything with that. The greatest thing you want on a track like Mosport, you want handling, but man, having horsepower at any time is a huge advantage getting up that long Mario Andretti straightaway. Fitzgerald right now making the most of it.
Randy Popes takes a quick look at his teammate. Top 4 nice and tight. We ride with Boris Said. Let's take a listen. And Boris has his hands full with Phil Mcclure, who was delighted to bring up his very first SCCA Speed World Challenge victory at Sebring and did it in fine style. Now look how close this is. Audi, Porsche, BMW, and a Corvette in there as well to take on the German giants.
Coming down the hill here, coming up to Morse Corner. This is so difficult because you're having to brake, turn, downshift. Your car's very unbalanced.
Whoa! Victor Contreras in there.
Looks like Farmer
Rathman as well.
And Rathman. They got everything worked out though. It doesn't look like it. No harm, no foul.
Talk us through here, Johnny. There's Farmer on the inside.
Taking, boy, I tell you what, nothing worse than seeing 2 Corvettes, 2 yellow Corvettes take each out. But that was bad luck, and it looks like that Contreras just didn't have a place to go. He spun out, avoiding the other 2.
Did you start sweating when you saw that?
Well, you know, as long as it's not my yellow Corvette, I don't have that big a problem with it.
Quick look at Don Campbell there. We get back with it now. Riding with Boris Said, his teammate Bill Auberlin up ahead, Mike Fitzgerald, then Randy Popes, and our race leader Michael Galati bouncing back very solidly after Sebring.
Yeah, you know, and I'm sure Galati left Sebring wanting to make a statement that, wait a minute, I'm the champion, this is my team. Yeah, Randy Popes had a better race there, but we don't know all of the particulars. A lot of mechanicals for Galati, and I'm sure Galati really wants to stamp his name on this Audi team as it being his.
And a big change this year too for Galati, just for the simple fact of that transition from an Audi S4 to the RS6. This RS6 is considerably heavier, it's a different car, and he's adapted very well, very quickly.
He certainly has, but again, the whole field, everyone's up their game this year. You know, you look at the addition of the PTG BMWs, you know, Bill Auberlin, Porset, Hans Stuck. You know, you've got some solid talent there. Mcclure, with what the program that he's put together this year in the Corvette, everyone's really up their game. They changed the tires in the offseason. There have been a lot of changes, and I think as the season progresses, we're really going to find out who has what. But right now, McClure's looking really strong. I think he's on the back of Boris there. Not enough, though, to get by. So obviously, you know, we saw Fitzgerald make that move pretty easily. You'd think that the Porsche might have the most horsepower on this racetrack right now.
He's been hounding Boris Said for a number of laps now. And a little bit further back is another PTG runner, Hans Stuck. We heard from him talking to us earlier in the car. Let's hear from Hans again.
I'm now trying to get the Corvette in front of me and to keep up with the other BMW. But it's very difficult because my car is significantly slower up the hill. I have not enough power up the hill. That's a problem.
We apologize for the audio quality there. We're experiencing some problems.
You know what? What he's talking about, though, he's saying he doesn't have enough power up the hill, and I think that's a reference to him getting passed by Fitzgerald, you know, and just really complaining. You know, a little thing like horsepower on this racetrack, a big thing like horsepower, man, can really catch you out. Right now, you heard some frustrating in Hans' voice.
Look at Mike Fitzgerald. He's working Randy Popes over big style. Stick around. More coming up.
Preview.
Welcome back to Mosport. The Speed GT Championship continues, round 2 for 2003. And we have recently received word from Race Control that Bill Auberlin will receive a stop-and-go penalty for that jump start. Fair decision, Johnny?
Well, you know, hard to say, you know, until you see the replay. He definitely moved.
He rolled, didn't he?
He did roll, but as far as jumping the start, well, that was about the worst jump start in history because it gave him no advantage. I mean, had he got off the clutch and just hung with it, and here he comes into the pits right now. quick stop and go for Billy. He's got to be frustrated, but he probably knew when he moved there was a chance that he would get caught for it.
You may have noticed as well, we've had a change of leader whilst we're away. Randy Popst is now out in front. Michael Galati has been relegated to second. And again, this is a stop-go for the jump start. Here's the replay.
See, Billy, you know, he moved 4 or 5 feet and stopped. That's all you need to do. I mean, once he started moving, his best bet would have just been to say, oh, the heck with it, and go. Because, I mean, he was nailed at that point. But, you know, bad luck for him. Good luck for the Audi boys. Randy Popst, we see opening up a big gap here. Looking really good. Yeah, you know what, and I wonder, you know, whether or not Galati might have a little bit of a problem. Because, boy, that's a whole lot of gap to open up there real quickly.
And for the champion Audi team, they take a little bit of a break, and I stress a little bit of a break. Whoa, look at this. Mike Fitzgerald has slowed, lost 3, 4, 5 positions. There's problems with the Porsche.
That's just in the position where you're going up the gearbox, so he might have either missed a gear, broken a gear, but it's not looking good for him right now because he is not gaining that speed back. Look at John Young, though. I mean, really interesting. Remember, Young in that Celine Mustang started in pit lane, and he's coming through the field pretty good.
Wow, an update on John Young's progress as we watch Mike Fitzgerald labor. What do you make from that sound?
That his race is over. Bad luck for Fitzgerald. I couldn't tell you what that was. But, and it's frustrating, you know, again, he had a great run going. Galati, I'm sure, is glad to see it. And so is Mcclure.
Well, it's all happening here, isn't it, over the last couple of laps. John Young has come from 23rd to 9th. We've lost Mike Fitzgerald. Bill Aublin's had a stop and go, and Phil Mcclure has rocketed up into second, and Michael Galati is dropping back.
Yeah, he made a real sweet move there going into 3 under Galati. You know, I noticed that Mike was not defending that position that hard. Go back to Randy Popst, though, when we saw him go through Mosport a lap before. Randy sliding his car a whole lot, you know, and as we watched Mcclure go through Mosport right there, notice how clean he was, not sliding his car. A lot of these guys have said that the change in tires have helped the Corvette a lot. And right now we're seeing it, the Corvette not sliding much. Randy Popst pushing as hard as he can in the Audi. Lap before, sliding a whole lot. We're going to have to see whether or not, as we get towards the end of this race, that's going to mean a difference in performance. Right now, McClure's looking good. You can actually hear those tires here.
To finish that point earlier about the champion team, of course, they've been working overtime lately with preparations for Le Mans, for their LMP 900, the prototype. They take a break from that program to work on this program. Busy time of the year for the Florida-based team. Well, sadly for Mike Fitzgerald, the day is done. Let's have an update from Brian Till.
Disappointment for Mike Fitzgerald. He had gotten a great start. He started in the 6th position with John Young being absent on the grid and moved up to 3rd. It seems like they've got an electrical gremlin. They think it could be the alternator. Very disappointing, not only for Mike Fitzgerald, but for this entire team. I was just talking to Will Moody. He said it's kind of a David and Goliath. We got to make hay while the sun shines. While BMW and Audi are developing their car, we've got to take this Porsche that's pretty well developed and get the points we can, because we know those guys with BMW and Audi, they're going to be coming. We need to get points while we can, guys.
And as you can see, Galati's been dropped yet another position. Boris said slips ahead of him. So the day is not going too well for the reigning champion, but look at this straight line speed.
Oh my goodness, I mean, that is an easy pass. That's the type of pass you'd like to have. Nothing easier than just horsepower, and which is surprising because, you know, the PTG cars really, really strong. And obviously the champion boys have a lot of horsepower. BMW right now, obviously, look at that. They've got the handling on him. Galati, he's got a problem. I mean, this is definitely not normal for him. You can just see he's struggling.
Boris said continues the chase, but how long will Galati be able to defend? We'll answer that question on the other side of this. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the GT race at Mosport, and you see a lot of spray on the windshield of Boris said out of Michael Galati's car. I've talked to the guys down at Champion Audi. One of the things they've had problems with at Sebring was overheating, so they've gone to a water system that actually sprays water on the intercoolers to try to keep them cool and provide horsepower to that Audi engine. They think that's the spray that's coming out of Galati's car right now. No concerns down here, and obviously he is still very quick on the racetrack. Guys?
You know, I don't know whether I like that. I mean, you can see that it's going all over Boris's windshield and all that. I'm not crazy about that system, but I think Michael's got something else going on here, whether it's an engine problem, a handling. I'm not going to say it's an engine problem because that Audi is whooping that BMW down the straightaway.
He was looking down at the dash pretty intently, though, wasn't he?
He certainly was. So, you know, there's something going on there because you don't go from leading the race as strongly as he is. And Mike's solid. He's a world-class driver out there, and right now, Randy leading the race, he's been able to open such a big gap. I can only imagine that, you know, a tire issue, something's going on for Galati he's not happy with.
Well, speaking of strong, as we ride with one of the BMWs again, what about John Young? He's come from the back of the pack in pit lane. He now runs 7th. This strong run continues. Time again to tune in with Ange Stuck. Let's have a listen.
Yes, I'm still trying to catch forward, but now the Mustang is coming behind me. That's going to be tough. And the Audi is holding us up there in front. But he is too fast down the straight, so we can't pass him anywhere. That's the problem.
That is a problem.
We can't pass the Audi.
He's saying we can't pass the Audi. It's too fast in a straight line, but it's holding us up around the rest of the track, and he knows that that big, thundering Mustang, the Saleen of John Young, is coming.
Well, Boris got him. I mean, Boris made a good move, but, you know, what Hans just said, you know, was very true. You got the greatest handling car in the world. If you get on a straightaway, we're going to be real interesting as we get on board with Galati right now, whether or not he's going to be able to get that position that he got from Boris just from sheer horsepower. Boris, of course, going to probably go to the inside, defend that line, but my goodness, look at John Young as he motors around Hans, and he's a man on fire right now. He's looking to get to the front of this thing. I'll be surprised if he doesn't pull it off.
That thing has brutal straight line speed. John Young finished 6th last year. He's heading to a much better result this time round. Time for another update. Here's Brian.
Well, big disappointment for John Young having to start from pit lane this weekend, but Rick Kaufman, I know you guys are watching him anxiously as they come down the front straightaway here from 23rd up to 6th or 7th. Great run, but how long can you run the car that hard and keep tires on it?
We can probably make the whole race. The Toyota tires are really good. We've got new tires on. Yesterday we only got 3 laps in qualifying, so they're pretty fresh. 1 heat cycle, so we should be pretty good. John's really good at managing the tires and managing how he's getting up to the lead of the pack right now, so we'll see how it works.
A lot of shoulds and a lot of coulds and a lot of probablys down here, guys, but they got their fingers crossed, and he is coming hard. We'll see if he's got anything for the cars in front of him, the BMWs and the Audis for sure.
You know, during that pit report, did you see Galati and Hans side by side going into turn 2? Those people up on the hill there got to be loving that show, because there are few things as exciting as seeing 2 cars go into a place where only 1 car should be fit.
John Young continues this amazing run, and there is another PTG BMW on his checklist, and that is Boris Said. He is running hard, strong, and fast, while Michael Galati, the reigning champion, is doing it tough. You're watching round 2 of the Speed GT Championship for 2003. If you've been with us throughout the day, you would have seen the Touring Car Championship earlier, and now this is the GT portion of the SCCA World Challenge. Great race so far. If you've just joined us, action aplenty. Our pole man, Bill Auberlin, rolled at the start. Did a stop and go for jumping the start. This man, Randy Popes, made a dynamic start, but then ran off the circuit, lost the lead to his teammate Michael Galati. We've had plenty of positional changes, and there's been plenty of hunting, and now Phil Mcclure has 1 car between he and the lead. This is our Sebring round winner, and that Corvette is strong.
He's looking really good. I mean, he's got McClure's going to have to work hard to get by Randy. It's not often you see Randy make a mistake, so that Corvette's got to get up close to him and maybe put a lot of pressure on him, because it's unlikely Randy's going to make a mistake. And that Audi, you know, again, we've seen it versus the BMW. We know they've got a whole lot of engine, so they get down that straightaway real quick. that Corvette's strong too, but he's going to need a lot to get around that Audi.
Keep in mind that Randy Pope started on the front row. Phil Mcclure started 9th. So it has been a very positive run. And look, there is no one near these guys at all. While we're away, Jim Rathman experienced a spin, second one for this race in his Corvette. But by the looks of it, fairly innocent.
Really is, but you know what? One thing I noticed as we watched Popes and as we see Rathman running again, but as we saw, you know, Randy and running up the straightaway, I think the Audi is the strongest car right now on the straightaway because it pulled that Corvette several car lengths going up Andretti straightaway.
Riding with Jim Rathman. Just sneaks through on Don Campbell. And Victor Contreras. A little bit of damage, the right headlight missing. Contreras was involved earlier with Farmer. Oh, Randy Popes has gone. Our race leader has run off the circuit.
Now, I can only wonder whether or not that was traffic or whether he got helped off a little bit by Mcclure. You know, I've been a long time since I've seen Randy make a mistake, or any of these top guys for that matter, and so it'll be interesting to see what happened there, but that's a timely, very costly mistake because right now, Mcclure, he's got to had to gain 4 or 5 seconds. You see the gap right there over Randy, so, you know, you wonder again, you know, we saw Galati falling back. We don't know whether maybe Randy's got a problem too, but right now, Phil Mcclure and that Corvette is looking real good.
This has come at the most opportune time, 2/3 the way through this race, and our Sebring winner, Phil Mcclure, is out in front. He will be watching the mirrors carefully, trying to get past traffic as quickly as he can, and bolting these next 10 laps in to make it 2 from 2. It is very, very possible.
You know, I really think this change of tires has helped out a great deal. 2 cars in particular. One is this Corvette, and the other is that Mustang.
Yeah.
You know, I am thinking that John Young in that Mustang is on fire right now, flying. McClure, of course, starting 9th. He has legitimately worked his way by the BMWs and legitimately worked his way by the Audi. So he's looking real good, and which is a nice thing because, you know, again, he's a smaller team. You got the BMW, that's a big, strong effort. The Audi, big, strong effort. And, you know, you see a smaller, you know, almost pretty much a privateer team in McClure's effort coming out and going to go up against these guys and winning. It's a cool deal.
What will we see, Johnny, as we take a look at a replay? Here is the Popes incident.
You know, Randy got in there deep, but if you look at the flagger, he was holding out an oil flag. He had the red and yellow striped flag up, so I don't know whether there was some fluid down there or something, but something happened to Randy to make him go in a little too deep.
Well, the day isn't exactly going to plan for the champion team. Let's hear from Brian Till. He's there.
Well, a lot of drama in the champion pit. The Audis qualified 2nd and 4th, and it looked like they were running well. They thought they had their overheating problems behind them. We had thought maybe that water spray on Boris's car was just from the intercoolers, the water spray they were using. That's not the case. Galati running very hot, dropping back. They're toying whether to bring him in or not, but if they do, they know they'll lose positions. They're going to keep him on the track as long as they can, keep him from burning down that Audi engine, though. Randy Popes has a handling problem. He's starting to get big understeer. We saw him go off there. He's given up the lead, but they think that he's got a car to stay in the top 2 or 3 till the end of the race, but not the way this champion team wanted to see this race unfold. Guys?
Johnny, we ride with Michael Galati at the moment, but getting back to Randy Popes, I think champion was satisfied with that 3rd, you know, on debut of a brand new car in Sebring, but have they gone as well as you thought? There was a lot of hype about these cars.
You know, it's really difficult because, you know, we've grown to expect such great things from Audi when it comes to sports car racing that, you know, yeah, they got a 3rd. I'm guessing they expected a lot more, as did BMW. Corvette right now, they're on fire. They're doing a great job.
Can Phil Mcclure make it 2 from 2? We'll find out.
There's a rhythm to
Welcome back to Mosport International Raceway here in Ontario, Canada. And the chase continues for Bill Auberlin after giving Team PTG their first ever Speed GT pole position. Kind of rolled just a little too much on the line and was given a stop-go penalty, and now he's working his way back through the field. Hans took a good strong run in one of the new PTG M3s. Remember at Sebring, he ran in the Macmillan Motorsport M3 down there. And now all 4 of these cars you see in the PTG livery and are out of Tom Milner's operation.
Billy obviously doing a really great job having to get by Hans and Boris. And, you know, we've come to expect this from him. I mean, he's been with BMW for such a long time. He's always done a good job for him. And, you know, he's got to be right now. A lot of times you get jumped, you get called into the pits for stop and go. You get a lot of anger. And sometimes that anger can really motivate you to get the most out of yourself, push real hard to redeem yourself. Right now, Billy's putting on a good drive. Boris also doing the same, though. Rock solid, him, Hans, you know, that whole PTG team, they do a great job. It's a funny thing, Lee, because PTG is run by Tom Milner, of course, a great guy, but he's one of these few team managers that actually admits to hating drivers. You know, he's one of these guys that if he could have put a computer in the car that would drive the car instead of having a driver there, he'd do that in a second. And I don't know whether that's because he's got Boris and Billy and Hans there to aggravate him or not, but no matter how you put it, he's probably got the strongest driver lineup up out there. They do a great job, and you know, it's amazing to me that as strong as they are, that Phil Mcclure is having their way with him. He is Phil Mcclure. We're not showing him he's got such a big lead, but he's doing a great job.
Tom Milner tells a great story about Boris Said, how in the early days he just simply annoyed Tom Milner that much, rang him that much, turned up at the workshop that much, even slept in his car outside the PTG workshops. That Tom Milner said, okay, I relent, I give in, I'll finally give you a test of one of our cars. And here's the new boy, Justin Marks, going well, currently in 8th.
Certainly, and that story about Boris is very common about guys. I mean, there are so many that go out there, they're so poor, and you're willing to do whatever you can to get in a race car. And a lot of times, you know what Boris just did, you know, said, you know, you bug a person and bug a person, sooner or later they're going to put you in the car just to see what you can do.
Phil Mcclure looking strong and dominating this one now. I'm sure that the 3R Racing team are delighted.
Phil Mcclure started 9th here today. He won at Sebring and looked like he had a long way to go, but in talking to Dax Robb, his crew chief, he said same thing pretty much that Will Moody, one of the other crew chiefs on that 3R Racing team, said early, and that is we've spent the last 2 years developing this Corvette. The Audi guys, the BMW guys, they've got brand new cars, they develop them. You know what? We're going to go out and win races while they're working on their development. Hopefully we'll end up with the championship at the end. If we can win enough in the beginning, even if they catch up to us, we'll end up with this championship in the end. That looks exactly like what they're doing right now. McClure won at Sebring. He's got that Corvette out in front right now.
Johnny, a lot of people, a lot of our road racing viewers that would watch the Rolex Series, the ALMS, Speed World Challenge, quickly, briefly, what are the differences between this Corvette and the one that you race in the ALMS?
Boy, you know what, I wish we had their horsepower. They're actually, you know, because they're stricter using the ALMS, you know, they've got more power than we do. Well, we've got a very light Corvette in the Pratt Miller GTS car. We've got great aerodynamics, great braking. There are a lot of different tires, different brakes. There are a lot of differences. But, you know, right now you just saw that McClure's last lap, I believe, was at 1:27. I want to say we run around here in the 18s or 19s, so we're a little bit quicker, but boy, not a whole lot. They you know, these cars, since they've gone to the new tire, have really closed the gap to where, you know, your top sports cars, you know, in the ALMS are racing, and they're putting on a great show.
And as you just saw in these closing laps, Hans Stuck has now got the better of Boris Said. So the PTG boys fighting it out. Recently tested at VIR. I'll tell you a little bit more about that on the other side of this. Meanwhile, Phil Mcclure continues to lead. Welcome back. The action continues at Mosport, and look at this. John Young on the inside of Randy Popes from last to second. It doesn't get any better than that.
Hey, beautiful. What a strong move. I was surprised that Randy opened up the door that much. Normally you get a guy, you know, that close on you, you're going to take a little bit more of a defensive line. Again, it makes me wonder whether or not Randy's, you know, got some sort of problem there, but Young really putting on an exhibition today coming from the back of the field. But that Mustang, go back to Sebring. Remember how good it looked there, how strong it looked there. It was bad luck for him. And I think right now he's the only guy that's in McClure's league. He's regularly running the quickest laps on the racetrack.
What do you think at Lime Rock, Johnny? These two guys head-to-head. I mean, Young qualified well. He was 6th, but obviously being laid out to the grid, had to start from pit lane. If he and Mcclure can go head-to-head.
We're going to have a classic battle, but you know, one thing when we go to Lime Rock, looking down the road a little bit here, horsepower, you know, it's important, but I think the handling of the Audis is going to be good there. The handling of the BMWs is going to be there. You know, Sebring and Mosport, horsepower is real important. I think both the Mustang and the Corvette really, you know, have good programs going there. But right now you can see Young as he goes through turn 1 there. He's hooked up in all departments, and you know, Lime Rock, as tiny a little racetrack as it is, always lends itself to great racing, and I think we'll see everybody be a whole lot closer together there.
We've spoken about our top 8 plenty. Back in 9th position at the moment is David Farmer, winner here at Mosport in 2002. And rounding out the top 10, local driver Rob Fellows.
Rob, of course, the brother to my teammate Ron Fellows, very familiar with Mosport, has done real well here, and they got that Mustang working better all the time for the AAR Mustang for Bob McGraw. They're doing a good job trying to move that program forward. You know, I'm bored with Rathman here. He's got to be so frustrated because, you know, anytime you're getting lapped, you know, you realize, boy, I've had a rough day. So bad luck for him. He's had a couple spins, but again, they go again in another week and a half, 2 weeks here.
And sadly, for the 2nd consecutive round, Michael Gallardi has dropped out of contention as we see his teammate Randy Popst heading for another podium, but is considerably behind this guy, Phil Mcclure, and the awesome Corvette. There is no stopping him in Canada. Stay with us. The closing laps of the 2nd round of the Speed GT Championship here in Mosport. Race leader Phil Mcclure with 2 to go. Looks strong. Running off the track is Jim Rathman. He has had a tough day.
You know what? He's wishing that he stayed in bed. I'm sure there's something wrong with that Corvette. You know, they got some sort of handling issue. They're having a hard time. But right now, I think we're on board with Boris chasing Hans.
This battle's been going on for quite some time. Boris working that M3 overtime to get past his Austrian teammate.
And very good friend. I mean, although these guys are all teams on the same team competing, man, you know, they are great friends. We see Hans protecting the inside, telling Boris, okay, you're going to try me. It's going to be on the outside, and Boris, of course, knows better than try an outside pass on Hans Stuck.
A little further up the road, Bill Auberlin is definitely catching Randy Popst. We are coming to the white flag, and that will come into view for Hans Stuck and Boris Said right now. 1 to go here at Mosport. Phil Mcclure is pretty much untouchable out in front. John Young is holding on to 2nd, but 3rd is yet to be decided. Randy Popst and Bill Auberlin going at it.
Hans, a great run into turn 2 there. I almost wish we could go on board with him and see what he's saying. You know, I've got Boris all over me right at this moment, and I'm not going to let him by. But, you know, Hans, again, classic sports car racer. He does a super job, and Boris, of course, wanting to get by him real bad. You just see off in the distance there, going down the hill, looks like Auberlin is having a great run on Randy Popst.
And that's a credit to Bill and just how hard he has driven. He's gone around the outside, putting the pressure right on Randy. Whoa, off goes Tom Hoffelder.
In the Morgan. And boy, I've got to tell you, that's going to be real interesting. I don't know whether or not, just based on position, I think the Audi's got the horsepower on the BMW. So I don't know whether or not Billy would have been able to pull off that pass, but a great move he was making. Yeah, you can see the difference. You know, right, that's not a fair fight right now going down the straightaways. The BMWs definitely are being held back to the Audi. You see Boris and Hans having a great battle. Looks like Hans is going to take the position. Billy all over.
And here's our race winner. 2 from 2. Phil Mcclure. I tell you what, John Young got close.
He got very close, as did Auberlin to Randy. I mean, some good fights there. I'm wondering whether or not that Morgan didn't get put off on purpose by someone.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Phil Mcclure at the beginning of the season. his stat sheet read 0 wins. Now it says 2 from 2 starts in 2003. And tremendous work by the 3R Racing organization. And Mcclure has maximum points in 2003, and as you can see, is delighted. A storming run by the guy behind him, John Young, in the Saline Mustang from pit road and last to second.
Nice to see the Corvette and the Mustang doing so well against these big factory teams, and you know, you really can't underestimate how difficult that is to beat Audi and to beat BMW.
It was billed as a muscle car versus Euro car battle. The muscle cars won out again. Welcome back to Mosport International Raceway. Well, a fairly eventful second round of the GT Championship, and coming out on top, Phil Mcclure.
Phil Mcclure getting out, one happy driver. You know, started 9th, finishes 1st, but more important than anything, Phil, that's 2 for 2, buddy. I mean, quite a run, especially at this racetrack.
That was the ball. That was much more fun for me than Sebring, having to come from deeper in the pack, and what a great time. It was just a ball coming up through there. Car held up great. Haggard Industries is my main sponsor. They've done a great job for us all year, and I can't say enough about the 3R Racing guys. They put a good car under me again, and it was just a ball.
Well, the guy said, you know, you got a package that's developed, and that's what's good, but I also know Randy Popes had a little bit of a problem. You put the pressure on him when he went off. You had to be happy to see that dust coming up.
I was on the horn, yes I was. I was yelling at the guy. I don't know if they could hear me or not. We were on the back over there, but I knew I had to get to Randy and put some pressure on him. He had quite a lead when I got into second place, and I knew if I could get up and put a little pressure on him, I might have a chance. So, and we're good. John Young was coming, though. He was coming. I could see him in the mirrors. I'm going, oh, come on, let's get that white flag out there.
Well, Phil definitely wanted to see this race end when it ended. You always want to see it end when you're in the front of the checkered flag, but it's like the guy said earlier, they got a package that's developed. They're going to make hay while the sun shines because they know the BMWs and the Audis, they're coming. Lee?
Yeah, good on them. Tremendous effort from Phil Mcclure. Makes you wonder, though, if the race was perhaps 1 or 2 laps longer, could John Young have made it? Well, there's your podium place getters, Mcclure, Young, Popes, and Phil Aublin. Tremendous effort as well. Well done to David Farmer a little further back. He gets the Sunoco Hart Charger Award. He came from 22nd on the grid to 9th, and that is no mean feat here at Mosport. Sadly, Michael Gallardi way back in 16th. That's 2 unsatisfactory rounds. Not his fault, though, and I'm sure that they will get on top of that. But what about our second place getter from pit lane all the way to runner-up? Let's hear from him now. He's with Brian Till.
Well, the drive of the race, guys, probably has to belong to John Young. I mean, John, bitter disappointed, I'm sure, when you found out you're going to have to start from pit lane, but 23rd to 2nd?
Yeah, I thought it was all over. Such disappointment. It really ticked me off, you know. And I figured I'm just going to drive as hard as I can right from the start. If the tires go off, they go off. And tires never went off. I couldn't believe how awesome these tires went. They started getting a little slippery at one point, but I caught up to the BMW Juggernaut there, followed them around for a couple laps, and it cooled off enough. I was able to start cutting in front of those guys. And I was amazed. We had this thing on rails. I was able to go through these turns with those guys. And then, of course, it set me up for the straightaways perfect.
Well, great drive, and as the NASCAR guys say, he probably got up on the wheel a little bit after he had to start from pit lane. What a drive, guys.
Johnny, you're loving these muscle cars winning, aren't you?
You know, I really am, but you know what? More than that, I like seeing the little teams win. And, you know, when you're going up against the Audi big guys and the BMW big guys, to see a guy like Phil Mcclure leading the driver standings after 2 of 10 rounds, that's nice to see.
Then there's the Audi of Randy Popes, the BMWs of Phil Aublin and Stuck Michael Culver. Consistency is what counts. He's there in the top 5. Let's hear from our third place getter, Randy Popes. And let's find out what happened out there today.
Well, Randy Popes, quite a drive for the Audi today. I know it didn't end up where you wanted it to be, but you guys are still developing the car while you're racing it.
It was a great day, really, for Champion and for Audi. The RS6 is a heck of a car, and it's still being developed. It's still new, and it runs great. I had a heck of a battle. I congratulate Phil on his win. We're going to get some of those a little bit later, and I want to thank Mike Gallardi for helping me get a little bit of a lead there. It was a great battle in the Speed Channel World Challenge. Love it.
Great battle indeed, guys. We were racing all over the racetrack, and after they get this car fully developed, hang on, because it should be a barn burner. Stay around for the rest of the season. It should be good, guys.
Yeah, you can tell, Johnny, can't you, that Randy knows this car's got plenty more left in it throughout the year.
You know, you really do. Whenever I see him, though, I'm always thinking Joe Isuzu. You won't know that as a commercial guy here. Hard to believe what he's saying. You know, he had a good run today, though, as did Phil Mcclure and Young and the rest of the boys. And you know what? I'm looking forward to Lime Rock. It's a smaller racetrack. These guys are going to be grouped real tight.
It is the next round of the Speed GT Championship coming to you from Lime Rock, Connecticut. Hope you can join us for that. Hope you enjoyed this round today as well. On behalf of Johnny O'Connell, I'm Lee Diffie. We'll see you from Lime Rock.